First base is one of the most stacked positions in Diamond Dynasty. A lot of players have secondaries or just really good hitting attributes at this position. This is a tough position to fill because it's tough to find that one player that deserves this spot. But we're gonna go through and choose my top 10 favorite first basemen in Diamond Dynasty. We've got a bit to cover and explain here today, so without further ado, let's hop on into the tier list and everything we need to know. These videos are meant to be different than my tier list videos. The tier list videos are meant to give you critical, good suggestions of who to use, because in my opinion, a lot of players are lumped into tiers of players. This is meant to be a little bit more fun, kind of share how I've liked certain cards in comparison to others. My experience is going to be completely different than yours. That's how Diamond Dynasty goes. So my top 10 is going to be different than your top 10 very likely, and that is perfectly okay. But I want to share which cards have been my favorites. There may be a player that I really like that could be that answer for you. So I think doing the tiers is best for giving good suggestions because a lot of people have options and obviously there's preference and stuff involved in terms of who people like. So I think classes and tiers of players are good for good suggestions. But for this, it's meant to be a more fun, casual discussion of my favorite cards in the game. So without further ado, let's hop on into the tier list and see what we have in store for first base. With every position comes a lot of honorable mentions, and in terms of first base, this is a very tough list of honorable mentions because there's so many good options. However, I think Vlad Jr. is definitely someone deserving of an honorable mention at least. Great splits versus righties, pretty good versus left with good fielding. He has a bunch of active quirks as well to boost up those attributes a little bit more. And I personally really like Vlad Jr. cards. I just find that other cards are better than him on paper, and they bring so much more overall hitting attributes where they seem like way more favorable options. But nonetheless, Vlad Jr. is a very good first base option. Another honorable mention I have is Eddie Murray. I don't personally love Eddie Murray cards for my use, but switch hitting is always valuable. And having 110 plus hitting attributes in diamond fielding, pretty neat. And some people really like Eddie Murray cards. So even though he's not bringing like 125 everything like some of the other first base options do, and that's really nice for players. So he definitely has to at least be an honorable mention. And then last honorable mention is 99 Hank Aaron. I've really liked him. I think he's better off in the other positions he can play because he gets more value in his defense and speed. Nonetheless, still reverse splits versus righties are good. Pretty solid versus lefties as well. I do love this card. Like, he's hit very well. So definitely deserves at least an honorable mention at first base for me. At number 10, I have 99 Albert Pujols. Gold defense, 125 power versus both sides. He'll eventually get up to diamond fielding. And in general, I personally was underrating this card when doing my tier listing before. But after reflecting on it, looking at my stats and how I did with them, he was definitely deserving of being on the top 10. I'm glad they made this Pujols very good and fun for this point in the game because it's going to be his last year in the game at least. And he's actually a very good option. So number 10, I have 99 Albert. At number 9, I have 99 Paul Goldschmidt. He's got the end game level attributes with gold fielding, bunch of live series quirks to boost up those attributes. And I know a lot of people love him, especially in those versus lefty at bats. 113 and 110 versus right is pretty good. Just in general with Paul Goldschmidt, I haven't hit the ball well-rounded into all fields. So in those righty at bats, I wouldn't feel super comfortable in that scenario with that level of attributes in comparison to other players. He's definitely a top option, deserves to be on the list. I just wish there was a little bit more attribute-wise versus righties. Make me a little bit more inclined to using him. At number 8, I have 99 Scann Musial. And obviously the attributes are there, right? Max contact, max power versus left, 114 power versus right, 125 vision, and he'd have gold fielding there. I haven't been the biggest fan of Scann Musial swing, and it's not because he doesn't hit well. He doesn't hit for much power whenever I've used him. Not much home run power in my experience with Scann Musial cards. I do have to use him more, and this could potentially change by the end of the year. But at least for now, while I haven't used him too much, based on my previous experiences with Scann Musial, I'm going to leave him just here at the number 8. I think there are other first basemen that I think I do better with. At number 7, I have 99 Hunter Renfroe. And it may be weird to see this level of attributes and think, hey, Scann, why is he so good? Trust me on it. I love his swing. I love his cards in Battle Royale. Max power, bunch of live series quirks to help him a bit, and pretty good on the contact versus left and right. Not crazy, but kind of similar to what Albert Pujols has, and he's going to bring a little bit more because he gets some quirks. So definitely a top 10 option. I have him at least at number 7 though, just because I definitely really love Hunter Renfroe cards. At number 6, I have a very similar card, at least at the first base position, Pete Alonso. Obviously, he's a little slower and less fielding as well. But I find with Pete, he's better versus righties. And he's been my best hitting finest card. It's not really that close. Just look at the numbers. 588 average, 2300 OPS. For me, this card has played a lot better than I expected. I am going to leave him at this point, though, because, you know, there is a little bit more to be desired versus left, which is definitely worth noting. So for me, I have him at number 6. Number 5 is actually pretty close between the last 3 cards. Freddie Freeman. Max contact versus both sides. 109 and 100 power is good. Obviously with gold fielding as well. Big thing is that he also gets quirks like the other finest cards, but I like him over Renfroe and Alonso at first base because he's at least a consistent first baseman. Just as good versus lefties as he is versus righties. Not much inconsistency there, and I know a lot of people like Freddie Freeman's swing, so I put him at number 5 for my experience. But honestly, 5, 6, 7 are honestly all toss-ups. At number 4, I've got everyone's favorite catcher, Jimmie Foxx. Before you say anything about his swing, listen, I get it. I know people don't love Jimmie Foxx's swing. He's not been the best for everyone, but I cannot deny this level of hitting he's brought. 582 and a 2000 OPS. He's been arguably one of my best cards since he's come out. So I think he's better off at catcher. Someone like Jimmie Foxx is a very good first base option because you can kind of hide that defense there. And you're getting the maxed out splits. So for me, I have him right here in the number 4 spot. But I will say there are players that have more favorable swings than Jimmie Foxx. That's why he's here at 4. At number 3, this might be a little bit of shock to some people. I have 99 Cody Bellinger. And I want to explain this one before you get a little bit confused. He does have the 125 versus righties. 105 and 125 is still good versus lefties. But the thing with Bellinger is he's bringing 80 speed along with that diamond fielding. And a lot of people love Cody Bellinger's swing. Like, just in general, he's one of those favorites in terms of his swing on cards. His Face the Franchise at the beginning of the year was actually a very fun one that people used for a bit. So, him in a 99 form, I think is very good. And I think number 3 is a great spot for him because he is sacrificing a little bit of contact versus left, but makes up with it with a little bit more defense and then better speed. And it is a top hitting card in the game still. At number 2, I have 99 Miguel Cabrera. He's got the 125 contact and power, over 100 vision. I think he's better off at third base, but if we're gonna get nitpicky, the thing that hurts Mickey is that he's a righty in comparison to a lefty. There are some other first basemen like Bellinger that are big power lefties, which could be good to add to your lineup right now. But also he's got 43 speed. That's a little slow. But this Miguel Cabrera has crushed for me so far in my ranked games, and I personally think he's one of the better first base options in the game. But at number 1, I have 99 Babe Ruth. And honestly, a lot of the hitting is very similar to Miguel Cabrera, but he gets a little bit more value and getting a little bit more speed. I find that his bigger body makes a lot of blocking, diving plays at first base. But just in general, also being a lefty. There aren't enough very, very, very good lefties at every position in the game right now. This is a great spot to use someone like a Babe Ruth. And again, he's been very good for me. So for me, he's my number 1 best first baseman in the game. Let me know in the comments, do you agree or disagree with my list? I do want to say again, these are definitely preference and based on my personal experiences with cards. So I will likely disagree with you, and that is okay. There is no right and wrong in Diamond Dynasty. Use who you have the most fun with and who you do best with. There are a lot of very good options. That's why I do the tier listing normally. But I think it's fun to top 10 so we can individually talk about cards more. I appreciate you all watching. Have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you all again on the next one here soon. Deuces.